Hello and welcome to a special edition of the TetraCast. We are here at E3, stuck here in Los Angeles, as it were. Joining me is a nice panel of guests that I've got here. First out, Kyle Campbell, you are joining us. How's it been?
It's been excellent. It was a long journey, but we're here.
Yes. You came here from Canada.
All the way from Canada.
Yeah, I heard you had some trouble with flight in Vancouver.
Glorious neighbors.
It's all good. We made it.
We made it. Although Andrea apparently had it worse coming from Mississippi.
Yeah, they were like, we should probably switch planes, and then we never switched planes, and we went on the weird plane, so...
That's the scary part when they tell you that you're supposed to switch planes, and then you don't end up doing that.
No, it's
like,
fine. Just keep going.
I hope they trust this plane is going to get off the ground.
I guess they fixed it, so...
Of course, I'm Zack. I didn't introduce myself, but of course, your host as always. And then we've got Josh Torres.
Hi, hello. Wow, it's great to be here at like this big Overwatch meetup for a week.
Yes.
I'm
we
stoked.
need to stop talking about
stoked.
Overwatch.
Diva.
Every
Okay,
single RPG side podcast so far has devolved into an Overwatch discussion. So
I'll
Probably
derail
like an
it.
RPG.
I just want to hear about the Gremlin Diva. That's what I'm here
the
for.
Gremlin Diva.
Exactly.
I don't know what that is. What is that? Is that a skin?
It's the fan art where she's eating Doritos.
Yeah.
God, it's like Diva used to be like this very popular character, like this really nice looking girl, and then all of a sudden she's devolved into like Dorito girl with Mountain Dew.
That's my favorite version of her.
I think the people that are into Diva eat a lot of Doritos. So.
Excuse you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Stereotypes? You've been in stereotypes, and the game's not even like a month.
I don't
old,
even like
so-
Doritos.
Yes.
They're bad.
I like Pringles. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Pringles are
Hey,
right.
You're sophisticated like that.
I'm more of a pretzel person, so something a salty treat. So yeah, we are. It's Saturday night. Actually, I'm already messing up my days. It's Saturday afternoon. We obviously E3 is not yet started, but we have some conferences to look forward to tomorrow. So we've got EA has their conference. I think is at 1:00, and so they keep.
It's a
going
separate,
back.
yeah. It's a separate like place now. It's not like they're at the E3 place. They're like at their own separate.
Is it still? It's on West Olympic, so it's still pretty close.
It's like it's like right there, but it's just
Their
one
own
separate thing.
Yeah, it's its own separate thing
weird.
now.
And
it's
the
not,
play
it's
thing.
not at the was it the Shrine Auditorium or whatever it is? It used to be like
not
this
sure.
place. So they keep pulling it back. I get to the feeling that we're going to be leaving like on a Thursday night or Wednesday night. Eventually, it's going to show up there. But we've got EA's conference. Is going to be at 1:00 Pacific time, of course, and then we've got Bethesda showing up a number of titles at their second E3 conference that they held. They had one last year. Last year was the big Fallout 4 reveal.
Yeah, that
they
was
had.
impressive.
Is a big deal. Of course, we'll get to Bethesda later. Let's first focus on EA. Now they've got a number of games that they've been talking about. I mean, you've got things that we obviously don't normally cover. A lot of like sports titles. They've got Titanfall 2, of course, Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we as RPG site members are most interested in is the new Mass Effect.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so,
How much do you
we've-
think? How much do you think they're gonna show there for Mass Effect?
I want to see it. I want to see actual play.
Yeah, I mean it's out in February.
It needs,
now.
yeah. Well, first quarter sometime.
sometime,
Yeah,
so-
Mass Effect 3 came out in February.
That's true.
So you want
And
like a
the first
gameplay
one was
demo?
like January, so
So-
It's gonna compete around that time with
Mm-hmm.
Persona
The second one came out in like a February too.
because it was like a
Alright.
running Valentine's
Yeah,
joke. thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Garrus.
Yeah.
Hold me, Garrus. You're my Valentine.
if it came out the same day as Persona 5?
We throwing down.
Sorry, I mean I love Persona, but
The competition.
My heart's already taken in that one.
Yeah, she's got her friends there. So, so expecting gameplay. I mean, how deep do you think? How long do you think they're going to go with Mass Effect? I think that's like their aside from Battlefield, that's their next marquee title. even
yeah.
though-
I mean, I don't know, because there's Gamescom right around the corner too, so I feel like closer we get to its actual release date, we're going to see more of that. So I think the bulk of it will be Gamescom, and I'll be there too, screaming. But,
That makes sense,
I'll be
yes.
very professional. But to what extent, I don't know,
I
because their
think
new IP is going to be there too.
That's
to take,
the-
Oh
so
yeah.
are they going to do that thing that they did, what was it, 2014 E3, where they look like they're in heaven in the background and they're like talking
Oh,
about it
yeah,
with
that's right.
fan art, like this ethereal BioWare kind of thing?
Casey's going to come back and he's just going to be talking about
Or are we
it.
going to see like maybe like an Andromeda length teaser?
I'm
of
hoping
this
it's just
new
not like a
IP?
CG trailer.
I think it's got to be more because if you think about it, there's already some like bad blood after Mass Effect 3's ending, so you expect them to like put a lot more focus on Andromeda. It's like, no guys, this is our return to form. We're making up for all the mistakes we made or the bad feelings people have.
Bring back the Mako. please.
My
They
thing,
are.
They are actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My thing with that game is I really want to know how it all works because they keep talking about it's going to be you're exploring a universe, and this time, like in the first game, even in all the games, you would probe a planet and you weren't really exploring. It was just kind of window dressing.
It was like a lot of.
You can tell they wanted to.
Yeah. They want to do that, but like the hardware limitations. Now with things like Dragon Age Inquisition, they have a much better engine to work with. It's a lot more big and expansive. One thing I want to know is the combat in the old Mass Effects it was a corridor shooter, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, how do you do corridor cover-based shooting in an open world? Because the whole idea of the corridor is you could create interesting scenarios and cover, and when you're the whole...
Close quarters combat.
in an open world, how do you do that? Now, the only game I can think of that tried to do that was Red Dead Redemption, and no one ever used the cover in that.
No, you didn't really have to, because it had auto-aim and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's what I'm wondering with this, is I just want to know... I don't want to know tons about like the story or anything because I want to go in blind, but I want to know how the game works.
So that's the thing. Let's just kind of speculate on what type of things at least what you would want to see out of Andromeda. Like, do you expect a lot of the same kind of character interaction? Like you talk to your character well enough, and then you go off on some character quest for them?
Well, I think the draw of any BioWare game, in my opinion, is the characters and interacting and the relationships you build. That's the most important thing. That's their bread and butter. So I'm sure that's going to be more expansive than it ever has been. I haven't played Inquisition, so I don't know if that's that much better than Mass Effect.
It is. I mean, a lot of it is that, and then the cool thing is that once you get that castle, it becomes like a Suikoden kind of thing where you're building a castle
It's pretty
with people
sweet.
inside of it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
really
play
nice.
it
I'm
either.
curious if it's going to lean more towards a shooter or an RPG because as the Mass Effect
Are they going
trilogy
to
went
go back?
on.
Yeah.
3 was supposed to be the return to RPG style.
Yeah,
and it
I'm
still
really
didn't feel like
hoping
that.
I'm hoping it's more in the spirit of 1 in that sense.
Well, if they're talking about exploration, obviously that means that they're kind of leaning more
Hopefully.
towards the
I wanna
adventure
believe.
aspect of RPGs. Yeah.
I'm curious how they're going to deal with the branching dialogue this time. Is it just going to be staying Renegade or Paragon, or
I hope it's a little more.
I'm hoping it's more in depth and more reflective of like what you choose. Because sometimes you'll pick a choice and then Shepard's gonna be like, I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want. It's like
It's all black and white.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
almost would like it because games like The Witcher have kind of stepped it up in the sense of me creating, I don't want to say gray, but making the evil and the good options not so apparent because like you don't know
Not so opposite.
Yeah.
Like, on
There's a
the
lot of
extreme
like
spectrum.
racism
Exactly.
in those games too. I mean, like Geralt, of course, like everyone there's a lot of people that are very staunch against Witchers and things like that. But
Yeah.
he does all these great things, and then the town slowly gets onto his side. But that's more like story aspects. Do you think they're going to go more dynamic like that? Is that what you do is reflects more upon the world?
I want the mechanics to be less obvious. Like I don't want to press here's evil option, here is good
Don't be
option.
putting
Like with-
reporters all the time.
With Overlord, I think that was the best example, the Overlord DLC in Mass
Oh, yeah,
Effect
yeah, yeah.
2. It's so the end choices for that DLC, I'm not going to spoil it, they're so extremely different that they both seem wildly out of character for Shepard.
Yeah.
Well, at least the Renegade option seems horribly out of character for any Shepard, even a Renegade Shepard up to that point. And stuff like that, it just kind of killed the vibe, the mood of the game, the whole tone of it. I don't know. But
Now that we don't have Shepard anymore,
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested. Do you think they're going to do the same thing before, where they're going to have like a male and female Shepard?
I'm sure they will. There's no way because like everyone, in my opinion, FemShep is the real Shepherd. I think.
A lot of
Like
people do think that way.
I love.
I just
Her
love
voice.
Jennifer Hale's performance. Like
Phenomenal.
I don't mean to
So
shit on.
good.
I don't mean to take down the male
Yeah.
performance.
It's okay, man.
I don't mean to take down his performance, but he just feels so generic in comparison.
I've seen that soldier role from him in a lot of like
In other games.
and not even in games, in film and stuff like that. I just
He's just
that
a
voice,
jarhead.
Yeah.
Moving on to party members, I'm kind of curious if they allow you to. I want them to stray away from like just humans, like having like a human protagonist. I want them like to. Can I choose like a different race? For a main character.
I think
like,
they said that they're
Yeah.
not already
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's the story of humans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like our baby kind of steps into space while we run into all of these races that have progressed. And well, I mean, the Sectarians were the second youngest. I think that's why they're so aggressive.
Right.
But
And that was the
it
cool thing. Like you have this human character obviously knows English, and then you got like all these different races with different languages that you met throughout your journey. So that was it's like that Star Wars thing of just experiencing this universe. Because if you're a different race, or you can choose your race, be like, I can't identify with this.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
It's hard to actually inject myself into this character.
There are a lot of people that wanted that,
Definitely.
though. So, but I think what I'm worried about, though, is that survey that went around. What was it? One of the questions was like if you could exclude a race or something like that.
That does sound
What was
familiar.
it?
Yeah.
Or,
Why would you exclude?
like if you had to choose your favorites or something? I don't actually remember it, so don't quote me to the full extent. But one of those, and I don't want to. Like, I can't imagine Mass Effect without a Turian or a Solarian or Krogan
I
or
want Krogan. I want all
Quarian.
those.
All of them.
I mean, the Krogan, of course, were almost extinct at one point, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, maybe we won't see the Geth for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think with the census thing, I wonder if that's almost like an asset thing. Where like
Yeah.
maybe we can't because they're obviously going to add new species because that's part of like.
I mean,
the
we could
story.
leave out Batarians.
Yeah, they're
But-
well. They're in
got
some
good
sense they can be
Terrans,
gone.
They're-
In my game, I almost wiped them out.
Yeah, me too.
oh yeah, there was that story choice.
Those potatoes.
They
But
can't leave out the Hanar or the Elcor or any of them. They're very important.
Hanar wouldn't.
I would really like a Hanar on my ship. I probably will regret that.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's Blasto.
Yeah.
But
Maybe more,
no, that
well.
game. I'm wondering if they do bring back more RPG elements. Like, I actually preferred how 2 did it and how 3 did it because I didn't really like the mechanical stuff in 1. I thought it felt really clunky.
No, it's their first. It's like Assassin's Creed 1. It's their first real change
But-
to try to do in a big
but when-
world like this.
But when you play like an RPG that's based entirely around math, I don't think Mass Effect 1 was really satisfying in that sense. It didn't go deep enough. Now,
Yeah.
if they did go with that, what would you more technical, more skill trees, whatever? What would you all want to see?
I mean, my Mass Effect 1 is my favorite, just because it was more about the RPG aspect and actually getting down on Mako and just like exploring the planets and stuff like that. I thought it was really cool. Obviously, as you said, there's like technical limitations in pulling something like that off, and so in Andromeda, they have that horsepower to like do more with that. Obviously, you're gonna probably experience a lot of planets that you can't go down into because they don't have the manpower to do something like that. But I think it's one in having the opportunity, the option, just like in Dragon Age, of really getting deep into the statistics if
Yeah.
you wanted to, the math, as you said. That's what I want to see out of that.
Because there were so many obvious choices. Like, there's some things in that game that are just so obviously broken. Like, why would you choose the lesser powerful option? It's not. I mean, it's viable, but it's needlessly complicated.
Did you auto level in those games?
Yeah.
Of course. At some point, like when 2 became more of a shooter, and I don't really understand too much of the shooter part of it. Like, I don't know, like if I should be more focused on the powers. Like,
I didn't. Yeah.
yeah.
I think with that they have the RPG and shooters are 2 genres that conflict a lot because
It's like, it's like class based. That's all you really like Battlefield and Call of Duty. Like you can only understand like the classes. You can't understand like the deeper part.
But like shooters are about precision and whatnot, and math, RPG are about math and how damage is distributed. And when you combine the 2, it's like if I shoot that guy in the head, do I not have enough math to kill him?
It's like a Fallout 3 problem. It's like
it's a dice roll all the time for those, in those games. Then it seems like in 2 and 3, it seemed like it was more like, okay, I need to line up my shots, like a Borderlands style. Like I need to line up my shot.
Yeah.
Do you think, do you expect them to go more deeper into the? I mean, I don't know. I don't keep up on that as much. Do you know if they're leaning more towards like keeping it more action based, or is it becoming more of an? I mean, aside from the exploration.
Well, there was that leaked gameplay that was like 5 seconds long,
And
and
he got the jetpack on.
it looked very much like
Action.
Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Oh, like almost like Destiny style, right? All right.
Well, Destiny is more like an actual shooter, and they throw the math in there kind of haphazardly. My opinion, sorry. And I think with this, I'm glad you brought up the jetpack because I think they'll take the combat they have and just make it more vertical, make more options. Because maybe
that's cool.
Which maybe it's not cover based this time. Maybe maybe that's just like vertical slice.
What about at the same time, you have to order around your team to do like different things. So they need to get behind that cover. I would still expect them to do expect with that.
The AI was pretty bad.
Yeah,
in all of those games. All of them.
definitely.
They always got the open, and they
So
stood up
bad.
in the cover. I'm like, get down! You can't, because you always had to be very specific.
Enemies
about
everywhere.
Yeah.
I really hope they improve that aspect for sure.
that-
They
it's
can do
pretty
so much
tragic.
with the party, and then it seemed always half baked with the party mechanics. And I'm just hoping that there's more finer precision control over them, and at the same time be able to kind of differentiate their skills because I felt like even what they could do, it all felt very samey at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to finally see that game. This is a long time coming.
Oh yeah,
Do you think it's going to be another trilogy?
I think that you think it's going to be a trilogy, or do you think they're going to?
So, but
Do you think they're going to set it up so they can just keep doing them? So it's like
Since they got rid of Shepard, I'm sure they want to build up this.
I want to know where they're gonna, because we keep speculating. I mean, they've already said, because in the beginning everybody was like, no, it's a prequel. It's not a prequel.
Yeah.
Like they have confirmed it takes place after. In the book continuity, they do mention that.
You read the books?
Yes, I read the books.
Nice.
All
All the novels. Yeah, all the books. Wow, how many are there?
There's 4.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The last one doesn't count. They've already said that it's
Not
terrible.
canon.
It's not canon.
Not
Ignore
canon.
it. But they mentioned briefly that whenever they thought it seemed like the Reapers were going to win, like they were fighting a war that wasn't going to work out, they were sending people out into the far depths of space, out of the Milky Way. So I'm guessing that this is what it's about. But they have to, I guess, make it in such a way so long after that they can't pick an ending.
Yeah, that sort of, because there's a good chance
Because there's 3 endings.
because I don't
wanna
know
forget that,
I don't know my actual math or the stars, but like the Andromeda Galaxy is like an immeasurable amount of distance
Yeah.
away from the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. You know, this is science fiction. It makes sense that they wouldn't even know they
Yeah.
might not know what have happened.
What ended up happening?
You can probably confirm this? Didn't they say that there's some what's the race with the
Quarian?
advisors? Quarian. Isn't there some things where some Quarian ships are so far away they can't even communicate?
Yeah,
So
that's in the books that they're so far out that they can't communicate back with people.
That'd be kind of interesting. I mean, if they explore like the stuff that was kind of teased in the games
Yeah,
themselves.
but I mean, in a sense, they would have to choose one of the endings because Reaper stuff.
Would
was
Reapers chase them?
everywhere. No, because the way I'm going to end up spoiling the end of the game. What happens at the end of the game universally affects
Spoiler warning.
everything in the world.
That's true.
It doesn't matter where you're at.
So that's going to be interesting to see how people
I mean, I
react.
would
to
Do you
assume.
think because they're talking about like obviously the expanse of it? Do you think they're going to get close to where previous Mass Effect games took place, and then we'll probably see like the cast from the original games? I mean, obviously,
I don't want to see the original
spoiler
cast.
territory about what
Yeah.
happens,
But
but there's some characters that we
I think
still need.
they confirmed that no one from the previous games.
Yeah,
will-
I think it's a good
they
decision.
said that, but there's
Not Seth
like
Green's character?
maybe like a nod to that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something like
They
that.
hear about him like, oh, I met that person,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Oh.
They'll have a shrine erected to Garrus.
A Garrus Shrine.
All right.
That's where I
Sign
live.
me
That's
up.
my planet.
That's your
That's
plan.
That's probably the correct answer to all
where I'm
this.
from.
Do you think though, like you get to choose your own planet in this game, that kind of thing?
I would like to, and you can decorate it.
The only problem I can see about that is that if it's going to be a very story-driven game, they have to like build the narrative around the place that you were born.
I think it's probably going to be like ship customization in that
Yeah,
aspect.
Oh,
that'd
you think
be cool.
that?
Yeah.
I really-
The end stuff.
The Mako's supposed to be really customizable this time around, though,
It's
isn't
like
it?
Kingdom Hearts, like the gummy ships.
Oh gosh.
It's just Legos now.
You're going to build them together, and then it's like, oh no, it has like a flight. You
For
can
some
actually
reason,
fly.
Mickey's in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. All right.
Mickey wasn't in the game.
Admittedly, as like an old Star Trek fan, I really loved Mass Effect 2 and 3's like traveling around walking in the ship and just talking to your crew. Like, I hope they bring that back.
Yeah.
Oh, that needs to happen.
I think
And to
that's
build
what
a
I want
relationship
the
there.
most is
Make love in
another
each other.
AI that's like as lovable as Edie was. Like that voice, they have to nail that again.
Is it going to
for
be like
me.
her, where it's like you're going to like fall in love with this AI, and then that's going to be your girlfriend?
I hope so.
Oh,
Maybe they just like copied her, like backed her up to a server, and you have her again.
My
She's on the
spaceship is my
floppy disk.
girlfriend.
What's this? Oh, it's Edie.
Yeah.
They're bringing her back.
Mass Effect.
It should be great. I mean, like we said, it's supposed to be out sometime early 2017. They delayed it. It used to be winter 2016, but obviously it's fine as long as they
as it's
put
good.
more time into the polishing of the experience. Yeah, but it seems like it's so close, but we still barely know anything about that. But now it's time for the big reveal. So I'm sure that's going to dominate most of their conference. They still got Battlefield 1, like I said, that's another big thing. Titanfall 2, they barely talked about. Another couple other games, Dishonored 2 is supposed to be there. But also, rumor has it that they're going to bring Prey 2, reintroduce it with, I forget what the name of the company is. It's the makers of the original Dishonored.
Arcane.
Arcane Studios.
Arcane Studios.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, at E3 a few years ago, I was done watching a conference. I think it might have been Skyrim. And so what happened was that when I was done with that, they let us all into the back room. Now Bethesda's booth is like completely open, but back then it was completely closed off to anybody else unless you had an appointment. There was a TV set up and a crowd of people just standing around. He's talking about Pre-E2. And this game he was billing it like Red Dead Redemption meets Cowboy Bebop.
Wow.
Because you're like a bounty hunter going out, getting these different, you send up on these different bounties to capture people and like decide whether to have them dead or alive, and your bounty just because of that. And they actually talked up the RPG elements of being like grown into this great bounty hunter and gaining like renown and all kinds of stuff. But apparently, and there was a lot of, you can read up a lot of articles about the fallout from that, and the people not like the market people not sold on this idea that I just described. And so it might be a completely different thing now. A lot of it has to do with the stigma around putting Prey 2.
Yeah.
So
It's so weird because like when you think of the original Prey game, it's like it was a decent FPS. It's like it was there.
the cool thing was like you create the portal that you can jump through. That was,
You're all more generous than I would say about that game.
I thought it was.
I think it was okay.
It was pretty bad.
It had nothing to do. Like the
No,
second one
it
had
did-
nothing to do
the
with
cool
that
thing
one.
was the jukebox at the beginning. That's like the only cool thing because all you had was.
Oh yeah, you could listen to like Drowning Pool and all that good stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff.
I really
like
hope they keep
classic
that.
rock, and then you jump through the portal into like the ship planet, and then you get to see like your family get.
Oh,
all
that
their
game.
friends, like people like mutilated.
And when the aliens invade the like Native American spirit world, that was
Oh,
when you
yeah.
die, you never died. You actually go into the spirit world, and you.
no, like you see your grandfather and he's in like the afterlife, and the aliens open a portal to the afterlife. It's like that game was such
It
schlock.
was-
And you just see him like,
Great.
oh, that was bad.
But you know, I remember years ago people wanted Prey 2 because it sounded like this awesome bounty hunting
Totally.
game, and
Everything was-
everyone wanted to like, oh, they should buy the Star Wars IP and make it a Boba Fett game, and I guess they can do that now.
Yeah. Are we
Yeah.
going to see Star Wars?
Star Wars
That's
Battlefront,
what-
they already confirmed like that VR game that they
VR
announced months ago. So there's going to be that. There's not. I mean, the new Battlefront. Well, there's that.
What about
one.
Visceral's game that
Maybe,
Amy
yeah.
Hennig's working on?
Yeah, I think it's too soon for that because they got other.
They might
obviously
tease
got other
it.
projects.
I'm thinking they might tease it.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's early, but there's a
EA's
chance.
been like kind of moving away from the teasing early because they did that like a couple years ago when they did the Criterion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's some like pre-alpha footage of a game that is being worked on. Like these.
I hope we see that game. Actually, that looked really cool.
I don't know. It seemed like when you added in the models, it just seemed like another GTA type of game. But I think like EA is more like we're going to announce a game and release it later this year because
I
that's what
prefer
they did
that.
with Battlefield.
I
Yeah.
prefer- like if your game's not coming out within a year and a half, I don't want to hear about it.
No,
Honestly,
yeah,
Well, that-
it's too much soon.
I don't know. I'm a huge Persona fan, but I'm at the point where I'd rather just Persona 5 like just release it. I don't mean just put it out. I mean you don't need to drip drop information about it forever. So a lot of games like that. It's just like what Bethesda does with like what they did with Skyrim and Fallout, where they announced Fallout 4, where they announced it the same year it came out. Like that's the way they should do it.
Totally. I mean, like if
perfect.
you think about Star Wars, I mean, Battlefront 2 is going to be out in 2017, but I think that VR, Star Wars VR, I bet they're going to be on Sony's stage and announce it because that was
For sure.
That's what
Probably.
it is. So
yeah.
I would not expect much out of the Sony. I mean, they've got their Motive Studios that they've got. Jade Raymond is part of Assassin's Creed person, so I don't expect much out of that. But for the most part, I think that it's going to be Mass Effect, Battlefield, and Titanfall. That's going to be like the dominating.
The EA.
Largely
things.
massive.
Dishonored 2, just a little bit, showing the
Or Bethesda's,
the two
yeah.
protagonists that they've got, and that's it.
But
But we need to, since we don't have too much time, let's move into Bethesda because we were just talking about it. Some of the things I expect to see, or at least one thing that's been brought up a lot, Skyrim HD. This has been talked about like year after year.
It makes sense though at this point because Bethesda's been talking about, hey, we want to bring mod support to consoles, and of course Skyrim is, if you think about mods these days, it's definitely Skyrim's like the poster child of that.
That's the
what
only
want.
thing I played it for. Like, I don't actually like Skyrim, but I played it to mess with it for
Yeah.
hours.
We've got a video. I did a marathon last year for the Extra Life, a charity marathon, where I played through Skyrim for the first time, and I installed the Final Fantasy mods into it. So I've got like Zack is the main character, funny enough, and then you got Lightning as my partner.
oh wow.
So she's joining me, and then your mount is chocobos, and then you've got like the weapons, like the Buster Sword and stuff like that you're carrying around. It was really interesting, and so that's actually very interesting that you bring that up. They're excited about the Fallout 4 mod support now because they've been working on bringing mods to consoles for years.
Right.
If they bring Skyrim HD and then release mods for that, or at least allow mod support, I think that could be huge. Because I wasn't really sold too much on the idea. Like Skyrim came out just 5 years ago. It's not been terribly long, and it's HD already. But if they bring that back with mod support and whatnot, it's kind of things like, what could they do with Skyrim?
I don't know. I kind of just want to make them like a new old Elder Scrolls game. Like I like Skyrim and all, but I feel like it's time to move on. I really want a new Elder Scrolls.
That's the
I
thing.
mean, it came out a number of years ago.
Yeah,
now
it did.
people still talk about it like it
It
just
does.
came
That's
out.
It's a fantastic game.
That's the thing. Like I always think, like they'll announce a game, and then 2 years later, after that, they'll announce their next Elder Scrolls to follow. I think it's too soon for me to announce a new Elder Scrolls game and Elder Scrolls 6, just because they need Fallout 4 to breathe. You still have. Are they done with DLC, or is there still DLC coming out?
For Fallout, I don't know. I don't
Fallout
play
4, I think
Fallout.
there's
4.
still DLC
Yeah, there's
coming
still
out.
DLC. Maybe they'll announce like something big. I mean, as far as DLC plans for those games, I mean, they still got like. I'm sure they're gonna announce. You talked about it before, Doom. So they'll probably announce Doom DLC at this point.
I hope. Well, unfortunately all the scheduled DLC for that is multiplayer, and hopefully they do single player stuff. I'm gonna take a guess and say that Machine Games' next Wolfenstein will be announced.
That's a good point, because that was huge. That was really cool, because it was like when I got to play the demo of it a long time ago, I was like, okay, it's got this kind of Bioshock type of feel to it. So I can totally see something like that being announced. Do you think they'll talk about Battlecry?
What's that?
What the
That's
hell's
their
Battlecry?
That thing
you know when they
that-
were back years ago, they announced like they were talking about a bunch of like battle
Disappeared.
like you got
Oh,
battle
yeah.
like they announced a bunch of the game. Battlecry was their game. I think it's probably been canceled at this point.
I don't know if
I
it's been
forgot it
canceled.
until
It's
you
just
said it. Right
Same.
then.
That's why I said I was being genuine. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not surprised at this point that that's probably out of here. But
But for Skyrim Remaster, like what would you
I
want?
kept
out
talking
of
about EA with Dishonored 2. I meant
Yeah.
to say Dishonored 2 is actually a Bethesda.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. I was
that's-
super
sorry.
confused. That's okay. But for Skyrim Remaster, I'm kind of interested. Like, what would people want to see? Obviously, like performing like better on consoles for sure, but like reworked lighting, HD.
Considering like
textures.
what Skyrim was on the PS3.
Oh god, I don't want to think about
The
that.
dragon's swooping around. my brother was playing it and he was watching the dragon because he couldn't kill the dragon, so he actually failed a quest because of that. He couldn't move with the story.
What sort of enhancements would you guys want to see on a Skyrim Remaster for this generation of consoles?
It obviously needs a visual upgrade, but at the same time, there were so many mods for PC. Like, there's actually like Skywind, which is the Morrowind in Skyrim. Like, those, if we can support those types of mods.
Which, in my opinion, is the much better Elder Scrolls game.
Morrowind is the best.
Morrowind is the best.
That was the one I spent a lot of time on Xbox, of all things, because it was surprisingly how big that was. I mean, it was janky as hell,
But it worked.
Yeah, it
somewhat.
worked, and it's a huge open world type of game, and so
I think Skyrim HD is obviously that game is like maybe the biggest game release of the past decade or so. Just it's just sold like gangbusters, and
20
everyone knows
plus
its
million,
name.
you know.
Things are always compared to it. Oh, it's open world and has trees. It must be like
Therefore
Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Yep.
Skyrim, it's the crazy.
but
it's like
everyone
the best,
forgot about
it
Oblivion.
is-
the best-selling RPG at this point.
It
right?
is of all time probably. It is it's a cultural phenomenon game.
11.
But
Perfect.
that all I can think of is that even if they upgraded the visuals, modders will make something like modded Skyrim looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
It looks absurd.
Totally.
I don't even know how they could improve on that because they can just let's just import these mods that these people made.
That's pretty much. I mean, at this point, that's kind of what they have to do, I guess. 1080p, 60 frames. But
Would it make sense to release this on the PC?
Skyrim,
At all.
I mean, a free patch would be
I
great.
it's hard to say because a lot of the times when they take those HD remasters, like say like Sleeping Dogs or Doom 3 BFG, and they put them on PC, it's always like half baked because you already get.
I would rather it not come at all.
Yeah, it makes sense for the consoles, but I don't know why they put it on PC and like split the user base in the modding community.
I mean,
Just give you end up spending a lot of money on a version that.
I wonder, because like Skyrim has a ton of like copyrighted material. Like you mentioned, Final Fantasy. That's
There
put
has to be
into
some sort of curation for that.
So if they put it on like Xbox One and Microsoft has like certification process, would they have to like? Okay, you can't have the Batman mod.
How does
for
Fallout
Skyrim.
4 handle that?
that was.
I don't know how Fallout 4 handles that.
I don't know.
It's not out yet on the PS4, right? At this moment, the Fallout 4 mod support. It's only for Xbox
Xbox
One.
One is out, yes.
Okay.
PS4 is like by the end of the month, and so we should be able to have that. I mean, at this point, the only other game I can think of that they'll announce at Bethesda is maybe Evil Within 2.
Oh
'Cause
yeah, I forgot that
was
game
kind of what
existed.
a lot of the talk has been.
Oh well, hopefully
But-
this one's good.
Is there like something you want a surprise announcement? I mean, new Wolfenstein would be pretty
A new
awesome.
Wolfenstein would be good. I mean, it's way too early, but maybe next E3 or something. I want to hear something from Quake. That would be great.
A Quake thing, that would be interesting. But that's like Doom. It seemed like it's got
Well,
this thing. Quake just doesn't have that, at least that phenomenon except for the multiplayer.
To be honest, like this Doom ended with a cliffhanger, so I'm pretty sure if they do another one, if another id shooter, it'll be a sequel.
What do they call that? They can't call it Doom 2, can they?
They'll call it Doomer.
Oh,
Doomed.
Doomed.
Doom.
Okay.
Blood Doom.
Doom 2, doomed. Good.
All right, fantastic. So
Dishonored 2, then, since we so what's been revealed right now for Dishonored 2 is there's 2 playable protagonists. One is what's her name from the first game? It escapes me. You have Corvo, and then
I didn't play
Elizabeth.
Dishonored, so you have to.
It's been so long.
Elizabeth?
I don't
Emily?
Emily, it could
Yeah.
be. It starts with an E.
Google it.
I can look this up.
I know, but
I
I'm trying
beat
to...
that game in like a day. Like
Uh-huh.
the day it
Emily,
came out.
is it Emily?
Yeah, Emily.
Powers?
Yeah, Emily. But I'm curious to see
Emily
how
Colwyn, excuse me.
there's definitely going to be a playable demo for sure
Yeah.
on that.
Toy on the floor and everything. I expect that to be there.
But what kind of like what do you want to see out of Dishonored 2 that hasn't been said
More
yet?
powers.
More powers because Emily's more stealth while Corvo's more aggressive. But
She's got that cane. It's
yeah,
awesome.
it's really cool.
Stabbing people.
I always loved that like similar to Deus Ex, like that stealth and you can't have the option to do non-lethal playthroughs. Like I always like to challenge myself doing a complete like stealth ghost run on
With
that.
Dishonored, it kind of devolved into using like the same 2 or 3
Yeah,
powers.
exactly.
for most
And-
of
Well, Dishonored really had balance problems.
Yeah, it
Really,
did.
totally
There's
did.
some things
well,
obviously
honestly,
broken.
that game is pretty broken.
Like going back to the Mass Effect
like-
thing, there are obvious choices to make.
Exactly. Like that blink ability, I know it was cool, but it totally broke the stealth.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It was
Agreed.
it made the game so easy. So hopefully they balance that stuff with this one.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for tomorrow. We're talking about June 12th, 2016 is tomorrow. So that's EA and Bethesda's days.
There's also a little Kadokawa thing that's not part of E3, but at later on Sunday.
Oh, Kadokawa, yeah, the
Kadokawa.
games. They've got their media briefing that happens to fall in line with
the
on Sunday.
E3. So
Is
E3
it Sunday night? It's
Sunday
actually
night.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, Monday in Japan, but they're going to be talking about like some games like Root Letters, an adventure
Demon
game.
Gaze 2.
Demon Gaze 2 is going to be there apparently. Some other stuff they already revealed in Famitsu. So
Their new Xbox One dungeon crawler.
yeah, that dungeon crawler is an Xbox One exclusive.
It
That's-
is.
That should be there as
Interesting.
well. I
Yeah.
mean, well, obviously we'll share any news if that comes out of that event, but for the most part, for here, this is our first night of coverage for E3 2016. We are going to be trying to do these daily, so we cover the next night of what we're expecting to see, upcoming conferences. But now, I'd like to thank, of course, Kyle, Andrew, Josh. I'm Zach Reese. Thank you all for joining us on this edition of the TetraCast.
Thank you.
Goodbye.